In today's video, we'll be making a project that is simple, effective, but can also target multiple different customer bases. This is a project that's going to sell well year-round, no matter who you are, where you're at, or who your target audience is. So today, I'll be showing you exactly how to make it, how to finish it, and how to position it for your customer demographic. This is the CIC Workshop January Kit of the Month, the Simple Wall Clock. This kit includes everything you need to make two clocks. It's going to include the mechanism, all the parts, and batteries, a 2-foot piece of stencil paper known as Aura Mask, and a 2-foot by 1-foot piece of hardwood, enough wood to make two clocks. It also includes the digital file with 5 different clock designs and the commercial license to sell those clock designs, along with this step-by-step guided video on exactly how to make them. This is exciting. Let's get right to it on why these clocks are good year-round. And so within this digital file pack, I categorized them for 5 different audiences. To start it off, this clock right here is a simple design. This one's made of cherry, but it's targeted towards newborn babies, right? And this is one that a fellow subscriber actually made for me and was the inspiration for this video. So thank you, Lynn. And he made this with my son's name, Waylon Langer Pella, the date he was born, and how much he weighed when he was born, and the exact time with these fake arms pointing to the exact time he was born. This hangs up in my son's nursery, and it also has a nice engraving on the back. The next one is going to be for the retirees out there. This is one that my dad wanted to make, and he purposely offset this hole, but on the digital file, it is not offset because, well, it doesn't hang straight, and then it hangs crooked. So on the digital file, this will be straight, but these are perfect retirement gifts. The next one is something that I have seen go for $70, $80 per clock easy, and that is a wedding gift clock. And so we have the Roman numerals here, and then the different dates and stuff like that. So my dad actually made this one for my mom because their anniversary is coming up, and he kind of wanted to get ahead. This is not only a great gift, but a great item that I think you could really sell that is really easily customizable. The Roman numerals make it really look nice and stand out. The next one I designed in a way, well, for the man cave, right? For that outdoor cantina, that outdoor bar, that outdoor kitchen. And so this one's a very simple design. You get the point. Pretty cool. This one's out of maple. And the last design is going to be a little bit modern. I don't particularly love it, but I have seen designs like this fetch over $100 per clock for, yes, this size, whether it's out of walnut, maple, oak, you choose. And so now we have something for the modern person. So all 5 of these clocks right here and all 5 of these clock designs are great sellable items. You just have to think of it not as a simple clock, but as something that you can customize to fit whatever customer base you're going at. And so I think you can at least think of 2 people with this kit to give these clocks to. So now let's stick this piece of cherry on the CNC to show you how it's made. And we're gonna be remaking this one right here so the hole is not off-centered and it actually hangs correctly. Now, we'll only be making 1 clock today, but all 5 of these clocks are made the exact same way. I'll be using 2 of the 3 bits that I recommend for this kit. Bit number 1 is going to be just a simple 1/4-inch downcut bit. Most of you should have this one. The next one is going to be a 60-degree V-bit, and the optional bit is going to be a 1/4-inch point cutter. Now, where the 60-degree V-bit come in is whenever I'm doing these engravings, obviously you're gonna use a 60-degree V-bit, but if you want it to be a nice, chamfer around the edge and a V-bit to go right there and put this nice border around it, then use a 60-degree V-bit. But some of you may want a little bit more rounded edges, and so I would advise for a 1/4-inch point cutter. And so the point cutter in this scenario would come in here and round off all of these edges and put that border around it. You could also do it with just your typical round over on a router table, but if you got a CNC, why not use it? Now, the next thing I recommend doing before you cut it out is you want to clear coat or at least sand and seal one side of your panel. So this is the cherry panel, this is my raw side, and this side, I just sprayed this simple shellac on it. Now, the reason you're gonna do that is later on, you'll be using this aura mask to go in there and paint all of these little markings. So it's very important you clear coat it before you cut it out, or you may have a little bit of bleeding, which I'll talk about how to prevent that better a little bit later on in the video. Now let's go to the digital file so I can show you exactly what you'll be getting and exactly what I'm doing to get this clock cut out. All right, guys, this is the digital file you'll receive. Notice I have all 5 clock designs right here, and I'll have all the toolpaths set up if you have anything with Vectric. And also, I'll have it ready for Carbide Create as well. So if you have Carbide Create or Vectric, you will also get the included toolpaths and this amazing file. And one of the first things to notice is I do have a size and scaling legend now. So I have the diameter of the clock, and if something ever screws up, there is a square that should be 1 inch by 1 inch. So if you click on it, it should be 1 inch by 1 inch. That way you know everything is to size. I also have both bits with that optional point cutter and the feeds and speeds that I suggest running them at. So today we'll be doing this retirement clock. So I'm just simply going to center that clock just like so. And the very first toolpath we'll be running is a 60-degree V-bit to engrave the words. Nothing crazy here. And I do have a flat depth set of 0.15 inches. So once you hit calculate on that, boom, simple, nice. Now I will say you do not want to go with no flat depth because it could go too deep and go into that backside pocket that we're going to do later on. Now the second toolpath we're running is a profile for the border and a chamfer. And so this vector right here is actually the outside vector, but I always do a 0.02 offset. And so if you come over here to the offset, you go outwards, a 0.02 offset is what I have set up. And that is because if I had this 60-degree V-bit and it went directly on this line right here, it could leave a slight little line that you need to sand off. And so I offset it 0.02 inches outward, and everything's good in the world. I also left a note of it right here, and so when doing chamfers, I'll create my new vectors with an offset of 0.02 inches. So this is just going to be a profile on the line, and I'm going 0.15 inches deep, but you can go however deep you would like. And I'll be going at 60 inches a minute. Now, once we run that toolpath, it's going to come out and look beautiful. Now, yes, you could run this first, then the word second. It doesn't really matter. Just both of them use that V-bit. Now the next toolpath we'll be using is a profile cut with that down cut bit, and I always like to use a down cut bit when I'm using aura mask. If not, it'll rip it up and tear it, and it's useless then. And so I did include tabs on this, which you'll see once we do the rendering. And so I have this vector selected right here, right? Not the outside one with that offset, the inside one. And I also have the center selected. So I'm going outside the line, which is going to cut outside here and inside of that. I'm doing 4 passes. You can definitely do it in 3. I am doing a separate last pass with a 0.01 allowance. You don't have to, but I'm doing it for you guys, and a simple ramp. I have it set for 60 inches a minute. I'll be cutting it out in the video at 100 inches a minute. So once you run that, it's a simple cut. Everything's going to be held together, nice and neat. So once that profile is cut out, it's time to flip the clock over on the CNC and pocket out that back square, and that's going to be toolpath number 4. And so this is just going to be that same 1/4 inch down cut. Our cut depth is going to be 0.52 inches. You can do it in however many passes you'd like. And it's just important to note that because that circle right here is in the exact center and we're using a center origin, you can then flip that clock over and use that hole right there as your XY origin marker, because our square is exactly over that. Now, realistically, the mechanism is only about this big, and so you do have a little bit of wiggle room. That way, if you are off just slightly on the XY origin, you're fine. And so the back of your clock will look like this, and we'll just simply run that toolpath right there in the center, pocketing it out for that mechanism. Every other design will work this exact same way. I already have that 0.02 offset made for the chamfer, and I have all of the borders already set up for you. So there's it's 5 o'clock somewhere. There's the one you can use for weddings. For this one with the kids, I have kind of what you want to do for a kid's gift, but really you can do whatever you would like for these clocks. So without further ado, I'm gonna set it up, I'm gonna clamp down these corners, and I'm gonna be using a center origin right here, and the first bit I'll run is the V-bit. What it's going to do is put this little border on it that's right here, because I don't like this one without a border. It's going to chamfer the edge with that 60-degree V-bit and engrave all of this. Let's go. Now, before you cut anything, do not forget to put your aura mask on like I just did. So how to put it on is pretty simple. You just lay it across your project. Putting it on is pretty simple. The main thing is you just want your project to be clear of any kind of debris or fuzzies or anything like that. And then a lot of people use a little roller. I don't have one of those because, to be honest, I don't use aura mask that much. So I'm just going to use a bit case, and as you can see, it'll nicely flatten everything out. So this aura mask is stuck on there nice and pretty. Now, if you want to know more about aura mask, Southpaw Designs, they are going to give you a ton of information on how to use this and all the different tests and stuff they've done. So with that being said, now it is ready to cut out. I have the V-bit in, I'm ready to press go. I'm gonna put my 2 clamps on, press go, cut out my letters, and cut out those borders. Let's go. So after this V-bit's done, we're going to pop in that 1/4" bit to cut everything out. And after it's cut out, I'll tell you exactly why I did the V-bit first and the 1/4" bit second. So the 1/4" bit just cut everything out, and the reason I like running that one first before I do the back is because now we have an XY0 that's perfectly in the center. And so I can come back to this clock in 1,000 years from now and I'll still know what I set my XY center origin to. So all we have to do now is just flip it over, and we're going to pocket out that square for the module. And so all I'm going to do is just make sure it's straight up and down, and I'm going to re-put my XY origin right there. Now, you could flip it over in the exact same spot, but I'm trying to make double-sided machining as easy as possible. Right back in that center hole, and I know that that is a good XY origin. So once that back side is cut out, all your CNC time is done. All you have to do is paint the letters. Now, I've seen it done a ton of different ways, whether you wipe on stain, paint some acrylic paint on there with a brush, or just use spray paint. So whenever I made these other clocks, I did a little bit of experimentation. And so this clock right here did have a little bit of bleeding, and I was using spray paint, but I did not put a top coat on there before I stuck the Aura mask down. Now this one was done with a top coat, but I didn't use Aura mask on one side and I used Aura mask on the other, and I still got a little bit of bleeding from that acrylic paint when I did not use the Aura mask and I just sanded it off. And the one that I used the Aura mask on, I got really nice crisp edges. For this one, I'm not gonna use spray paint because I don't wanna get my edges messed up. So I'm just going to hand paint acrylic in there, and when it's done, you just peel it off. Pretty simple. So once all that's done, it's time to install the mechanism. These are all the parts needed to assemble a mechanism. So first we're gonna take the clock body and we're going to put the hanger on it. So you just take that hanger, slip it over the top, and there's a nice little slot that it fits in. The next thing we're going to do is put a rubber washer on. After that, it's time to stick the mechanism through the clock. And so we're just going to make sure our clock is the way we want it. This hanger right here is going to go through the back and through the hole right there. Now make sure this hanger piece did not slip off, because if it does slip off, it doesn't suck up all the way. So you need to make sure that whenever this right here is on there, it's right over that circle. If it pops off, it will not be as tight. So a good way I figured out to do it, hold it only by this mechanism like this. Hold that clock and just nice and gently go. That way that hanger doesn't slip. The next thing is a gold washer. Gold washer goes over that. The gold nut goes over that. You should screw in nice and tight. Jiggle it a little bit, make sure it's all good. Boop. See, you can go in a little bit more, and you're good to go. Once that is tight, the first hand that goes on there is the hour hand, the short one. And you just press it on there. And it does take a little bit of effort. The next one is going to be the minute hand. Press that one on there as well. And this one takes a little bit more effort. There we go. And the last one is the second hand, and it should just go right on the top and press in, just like that. I personally like to line them all up at the top, come to the back, stick your battery in, and you are rocking and rolling. Things are ticking. And then just simply adjust the clock from this little back gear right here. And on this particular clock, it's always 5 o'clock. And that's how to assemble the clock mechanism in your clock. Now, with these clocks being the 6th CIC Workshop Kit of the Month, I would love for you to comment down below 5-peat if you have bought and used the first 5 kits that we came out with. Thank you. Once you have the mechanism, the clock is ready to go. Now keep in mind, on the digital file, you can really customize these any way you would like. And so this is a big difference between a clock with a border and a clock without a border. Me personally, I think the border really makes it pop. And this is a difference between painting it black and not painting it black. And personally, I do think painting it black helps out a lot as well. And one other difference that I found very interesting when designing all these clocks is that when you do typical numbers, they all face upwards, right? Where you can read them. But when you do Roman numerals, they're actually flipped, or not flipped, but they're always facing inwards. As opposed to the letters, they always face up. Just something interesting. So whatever clock you want to design, I hope this kit really helps you get creative, get that brain a ticking, and helps you make really cool projects that sell year round. So as always, guys, remember, if you ain't cutting it close, you ain't cutting it right.